But you think so? Well, thank you. Thanks for your time today, because I know you're obviously a very busy person, and there's lots of webinars. Watched the webinar before with SCVO, which was brilliant. So,
Yeah,
so,
it's
so thank you
interesting.
for that as well. But yeah, just the kind of first thing to say, happy birthday for last week. It's your 40th. How
Yes, it was.
is it?
Well, I got this from my sister. I thought it says 40 and fabulous, so I'm going to just embrace that.
I
And I
think
thought,
that
Kieran, because you're having your 40th, I can post it on to you maybe at some point.
could you? That would be much appreciated. 40 fabulous. That's definitely post-COVID vibe that we're going with. That's what's nice is you had a nice time then with family and celebrating. So we're timed for my birthday, but
Yes, my birthday was last Monday, and
yeah,
Fraser's husband's was on the 21st on the Thursday, so we're both turned 40 within the week. It's a bit, yeah, it was fine. It was with the boys. I mean, we don't really normally do big birthday celebrations, but I think, yeah, it was a pity maybe this milestone we weren't able to go and see other family, but we'll make up for it at some point. But I think, though, the whole turning 40 is why I've dyed my hair red and all the rest of it. But
it's nice.
yeah, it was fine.
It's nice to do.
It was fine.
And it's a strange time at the moment, and I was reflecting on the last webinar, and you were saying obviously at the moment things are tough, and this whole series that we're doing is looking at leadership, and we've got different social enterprise leaders and leaders from across sector. How are you maintaining or being able to like look after your own well-being and your kind of sense of well-being? Is there any kind of like things that you're able to do to?
So you kind of cut out a wee bit there, Kieran.
Sorry about that. I think
Asking about the
your own sense of well-being and just keeping
what I do to look after my own well-being.
Yeah,
Is that
that's the question. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wasn't sure if I kind of missed a few words. So I think, like a lot of people, the whole getting out for once a day to do some exercise has been really important.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
At the start of the year, I tried to start doing the kind of couch to 5K. So actually, it's been quite useful that I've been able to go out for a wee run. I'm very slow. I try and do it with as few folk out there as possible. So I've been doing that. And it's nice now that there's a wee bit of an easing and restrictions so that you can go out more than once. So going out has been really important. And actually just making sure that we go out for a walk with the boys as well. That's been really important. And I quite like listening to a podcast or two. So those are the kind of wee things, when you get a bit of a chance to do those things, those have been really important. And just, I suppose, keeping in touch with my family that are not living immediately beside us. So like a lot of folk, I think, it's just trying to juggle it all and balance it all. But they're going outside, and we're so lucky that the weather's been good, I think. I think this would have been a whole lot worse for folk if, it's been bad. It's been bad and difficult and challenging, but I think the weather's probably helped a bit. But I'm acutely aware of how lucky we are that we've got a wee garden and the boys can go out and play in that as well. So I guess we just have to count our blessings, and we live in a nice community as well. So we've been seeing them mobilised and doing lots of great things, and that's been good. It's been good.
In terms of kind of well-being, it's been a theme of this whole kind of session, asking leaders about how they're keeping their own well-being in check, and also asking about inspiration, about leadership. And I guess now more than ever, we need leaders, and we're looking for authentic leaders, people that obviously we can trust and can give us guidance. But bit of a, hopefully not too cheesy a question, but in terms of leadership, what kind of leaders are inspiring you just now? Who do you look to?
Well, my goodness, Jacinta Ardern, did you see her yesterday? I mean, she's incredible.
Yeah.
She's just incredible, the way she is able to connect with folk and how she feels so authentic. And so I think lots of folk admire her. But yesterday, oh my goodness, she just was getting interviewed, and an earthquake happened around her, and she just sort of smiled and, nothing to worry about here, nothing to see. I think, again, if you didn't like her or admire her before, you have to admit that was pretty strong leadership there, keeping calm and cool. But yeah, and I think she's been incredible, the way she's just connected with the country that she serves and giving people reassurance. Certainly that's the way it feels from afar. that that's what she's done. And I think she's somebody that a lot of people want to, I would imagine, want to emulate that style and to have that compassionate leadership, really human leadership. So yeah, she's definitely somebody I would look to. And I think as well, her kind of, you know, New Zealand's a country that's part of it's looking at well-being as well. It's one of the countries that's looking at well-being, and so I think, you know, I think there's a lot to be aligned with in terms of her politics as well. So yeah, I think she's definitely somebody that, and she's turning 40 this year as well. Can you believe that?
That's a benchmark.
I know.
To keep in check. But obviously, in terms of the third sector and social enterprise, obviously we're seeing lots of, I guess, resilience, lots of leadership, and lots of people who are pivoting their business models and being innovative. I think you kind of you'd mentioned one of those stats that I'd said in one of my tweets before, and I had to go over it, that 50% of social enterprises in the UK have developed a new product over the past year or so, and that's actually more than the average for SMEs in the UK. In terms of leadership,
there's somebody joining us there.
Oh, is that one of your? Hi there, hello.
Yeah, hello.
This is a new. I mean, this is what happens now on any Zoom call, isn't it? It's what we call the kind of new normal. Who is this? This
is Crawford. Do you want to say hello to Kieran?
Hi, Crawford.
Podcasting, right? Okay.
Really like Kieran, like I got today.
Yes. No.
A bit like Kieran. It's a bit different. So anyway, this is a new normal. This is what happened. We've been saying within one of our programmes, Growth Ambitions. So it's a programme that we run with Scottish Government and with Postcode Lottery, and it's specifically to support leaders with their own kind of journey and their own tough decisions. And what we've seen from that is that there are people saying that having that space to focus on you as a leader is really important. And also some of the feedback has been that they can see that there are some tough times coming ahead, and you kind of mentioned that before. And one thing that I found quite interesting was that someone mentioned during the banking crisis, you know, when it was a similar but different situation, there was a lot of focus on, I guess, resilience and rebuilding, but the space for innovation sometimes wasn't maybe as great. And I just wondering what you think about maybe some of the innovations that you've seen within the third sector and within social enterprise that you've kind of found inspiring, and do you think that innovation is something that we'll need to kind of focus on going forwards?
Yeah, I think undoubtedly, I think we're all going to have to learn to live our lives differently. And it's not just been, you know, I suppose the banking crash was really significant, but I guess it was something that, not that you're kind of used to, but I guess as well, it didn't kind of didn't place the restrictions fully on life that this is. And this isn't touching everybody's life. And it's not just a restriction for a X number of weeks. It's going to be, the easing of restrictions is going to happen soon, imminently. Some of that will gradually start to lift, but it's going to change the way we live for months and months ahead until there are progress is made with vaccines or whatever. So we're going to have to be agile. We're going to have to shift and change how we live, and I think that's the space that social enterprise, the third sector, has always been in. It's been able to, there's lots of innovation. That's the kind of bread and butter to social enterprise, has been to find new ways to adapt and to rebalance things. I think there's going to need to be a space for not just to recover for our communities, but to renew and reform. And I think a lot of the agenda has been shaped by people who want to reform and rethink what society is like. It's going to have, people want to have far more equal societies. We want to have much more localized economy, and we want to, I suppose, try and adapt, but to do so in a fair and equitable way. And unfortunately, the pandemic has really shown how unequal some of our society has been, and I don't think people want to go back to that. I think people want to see how we can do things differently and do things better. And I heard it was one of these podcasts that I mentioned, that I like listening to. It was Stuart Cosgrove's one that he does with various different people come on and contribute. And it had Val McDermid, and she was talking about how after the Second World War, that was something that touched everybody's life. And afterwards, that's when you started to have the birth of the NHS, the welfare state. So people didn't want to go back to the old ways. There had been a massive shift and change in society, and as we go forward, then we want to have something that kind of moves us into the direction that we want to head into, which is, I think, a fairer world and a fairer society, and to build on that. And I think social enterprise is well placed to deliver that and drive that forward, because it's what you've been doing for a long time before the pandemic. My son was there. I was trying to answer that question. my son, this is the first time he's done this, because normally they listen to the door and work out if mum's speaking and don't come in, but today for some reason, so I apologise for that.
Not at all. This is authentic leadership. I think authentic leadership, and it's what a lot of people, I guess, are living through. It sounds like I'm juggling and kind of work out life and different things.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing in itself. Yeah. My goodness, people have seen that you can have flexible working without the sky falling in, and that actually this is probably a bit too extreme for some people will want to not be as living and working in the restrictions that we are. But, you know, people are working at home. They're not having the big commutes. The roads are quieter. The roads are, there's less, you know, there's fewer cars travelling, all these different things. These are big societal changes and shifts that folk have now made in pretty quick time. The other side of it is that more folk are going through the benefit system and universal credit, and that's going to show up that actually the universal credit and the benefit system has been fragile, and people will not have had that experience, and they'll have entered into that at a point of time when they've needed to draw in from that security blanket and realised that it's not the blanket that they maybe would have thought it was. So all these things, I think, we have to try and bring it all together to agitate for something better and something different. So
you mentioned that you know, 20 years ago, we were thinking about the banking crash, and that's pretty much around about the time when Social Investment Scotland came about, and the whole kind of idea about taking loans and social investment and different forms of funding and social enterprise itself. With what you've said in mind, it is possible that we'll have more innovations within social enterprise, even think about different structures. And we're seeing more that even there are mission-led businesses which are being established, and business itself has been more responsible during COVID. Do you think that we'll continue to see a shift within what we know as traditional business, and actually the kind of the role of business and the role of society, and I guess the third sector might evolve further?
Well, I think you're right. I think, you know, at the point in time when the banking crash, there was a kind of clear desire to want to rebalance the economy, to have something else other than just being the bottom line, motivating people. And I think what I've seen in my constituency even is businesses that have gone above and beyond as well. They're not necessarily social enterprises as such, but they're good community shops and businesses that are part of the community, folk that have a shop in the high street. 9 times out of 10 they stay in the community as well, so they care about it. Their kids go to school, or they've got elderly relatives or whatever, and they've been at the forefront, as well as the social enterprises, as well as the third sector, in terms of providing a response for community need. They've been part of the resilience of the community as well, whether that's the local shop down the road, Brownlee's, which had opened at different hours to enable key workers at the very start of the pandemic to come in and get food and access food. There's a wee store down in Abington. They've been doing deliveries and trying to help support folk that they know need that bit of extra support, doing, you know, prepayment top-up cards and things, all those things that kind of, if they hadn't done it, folk would have been kind of left and having to kind of work out what else where else they could go, and so I think there's also been a reconnection with the high street as well for a lot of people. So I think there's opportunity in amongst that to support businesses that are showing that leadership and that desire to do something, and to, I suppose, question those that haven't, that have taken a different approach. At the very start of it, we saw some businesses that just weren't in that space, and when we come out of some of these lockdown restrictions, then I guess we can then really think about, as a government, as a society, about what we choose to support and what ethics lie behind that. But undoubtedly, social enterprise have that particular mission behind it that I think other businesses may want to emulate, and certainly the ethos behind it is something that we should promote.
Absolutely. And I guess in terms of the general public, you're saying people are more interested actually in ethical shopping and shopping responsibility, and also on, I guess, not, let's say, how commercial businesses have operated. I know within your constituency at the moment, I saw on Twitter with New Lanark and with some of the kind of issues there that there's some tough questions and tough things that are happening at the moment. I guess as communities and as a society, we're more than ever, we're more kind of aware of just how business should operate and how there's a balance between, I guess, commercialization and also the community. And I just wondered, just kind of initial thoughts on that.
Yeah, and that was kind of the theme that was developing in the discussion this morning with SCBO, is that there's lots of things to be positive about. So, and amongst, I mean, that's caveated heavily by the fact that this has come about because of the harshness and the horrible kind of nature of a pandemic. But the positives are there, and it's right that we should focus in on them. But along with that are some kind of hard conversations and hard things that are going to have to be thought through about how that's handled. And unfortunately, New Lanark is struggling at this point in time, and there's news of having news of staffing issues and all the rest of it as well. And now, that's ongoing. We'll need to try and help support them through that. But yeah, there's going to be difficulty for tourism, difficulty for the high street, challenges for third sector, social enterprises. But I think that's where we're going to need to use the fact that we've got strong relationships and that we've got dialogue and that we've got things in place to try and support, to enable the right decisions and a balanced decision to come through. And it will be tough, but I think that's where the work that you do, the work that the other organisations that are supporting a social enterprise are going to play a huge role, is that we have to kind of work together and try and work through some of those challenges, see what's possible, what's doable, and support where we need to. Now that might be financial support, but it might be other support as well, in kind and other things too. But it won't be easy, and in many respects at the start of the pandemic, when we realised that we had to have a very immediate response, a few weeks in from that now and months in from that now, that possibly might have been a slightly easier point. But as this goes on and we realise the severity of the impact of it by the health impact, then it's going to be a real challenge for the country to respond to. And I think, I got asked some questions last week as well about some of the limitations on the government. So we don't have the power to borrow, and we don't have some of those powers and that might be necessary for us to respond adequately to something like this. And I guess that starts to call into question, regardless of the constitution, I guess it's just about what are the appropriate measures that a government needs to respond to something like this, given how unprecedented it is, and how we then start to have those discussions with the UK government to try and see what is possible, because it is so unprecedented that we need to have a rethink about how the Scottish Government and devolved administrations are placed to try and respond adequately to some of those difficult challenges ahead.
Absolutely. And we, one of my colleagues that runs our Retail Academy, which obviously it's a programme which supports product-based social enterprises to retail, made the point before that we are equipping and we're thinking about how we support the sector who are looking at retail in an entirely different way. If you think about rent prices, and you think about the capacity that you'll be able to get into a shop or a cafe or whatever else, you're going to have fewer people that can access traditional retail, go into cafes, go into restaurants, yet the rent prices are going to be the same. So we might see more innovations within the space of digital. We'll definitely see more innovations in terms of how we buy things, and I guess it's a real opportunity to understand what the opportunity is there with the general public within consumer trends, and actually how we can support people, like you said, with finance, but then also in addition to that, understanding digital and other ways of
Yeah.
engaging. I know that recently you put, obviously there's been a big shift in looking at digital and funding digital.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I guess that, you know, the inequality that has been shown through the pandemic has also shown itself through digital inequality as well. And so there's loads of young people at home now who might not have access to devices to enable them to learn. There's also a lot of people that are not connected into what, you know, with the internet or whatever, and people who don't have the confidence to kind of use the internet and devices as well. So that again has been work that had been ongoing, but had been maybe just not a major bit of work, or at least it was trying to kind of find and establish itself. And suddenly the pandemic has shown just how important it is. If you can't connect physically with people, then you need to have some way to do it, and remotely and virtually as it has been used, like we're using it now for Zoom. But for those that can't, then that becomes even more isolating. And that's why there's Connecting Scotland. That's been a bit of resource that's been put in to try and ensure that people can be not just given devices, but supported in the use of those devices as well, and given the skills and to use it confidently, and to be connected, and to kind of get the benefits of what we can get from being connected digitally. And that's also work that the DFM, the Deputy First Minister, is taking forward around that issue, around people being at home, and young people in particular being at home and needing to be accessing online resources, teaching resources, welfare, so that the attainment gap doesn't widen. So yeah, that also then I suppose brings up the opportunities for businesses, like you say, then to engage in that and to work out what can they offer to in a different way that maybe doesn't require them to always have the physical premises or whatever. And I think I've certainly heard of more people, and you see it online, even just go down, in the high street in the town that I stay in, where shops are now saying, well, now you can buy some of the stuff that we sell, you can buy it online, or we can deliver it, or, you know, so there's lots of people doing these things as well, and that's been, and I think it's helping them find a way to kind of emerge through this in a way that doesn't mean that their business has to close, or and similarly, there's also businesses there that are really thriving. You know, butchers and different food shops and different retailers are adapting what they do, but I think there is a huge opportunity with the digital side of things, and I think you're right then, it's about giving that confidence, just in the same way that we're trying to sort of reduce the inequality that people are facing out in society around not being connected, or not being online, or not being able to do so with confidence. And I see that with my own mum, when I'm contacting my mum, like speaking to her ear sometimes. She can't get the camera angle just right. So everyone now is seeing it and feeling it as well, and realising it is a big issue. And it'll help us in government too, in terms of public sector reform, around how you treat people with health conditions, how you can do it remotely, and how you can deliver services in a way that doesn't require folk to have to kind of travel to all different parts of the country. So I think there's huge opportunity, but we need to support people in doing it.
Absolutely. You were saying before that in terms of inequalities, and I know that obviously your previous roles has involved working with young people and obviously with sports as well. Thinking about young people at the moment, it's a time of change, and young people might be thinking about obviously becoming more into politics, and maybe getting into a career within politics. Thinking about that, how did you yourself get into politics, and what advice might you give to anyone that's thinking about that at the moment, to try and encourage them and I guess take away the barriers to get into politics? What was your journey? And
it was my journey, and so I suppose being the age I am, so I joined before the Scottish Parliament. I joined the SNP before there was a Scottish Parliament, so it was never a career choice as such, because there was only a handful of SNP MPs at Westminster. So I guess I joined the SNP the same time as my mum. So my mum and dad had always encouraged us to talk about politics, discuss, watch the news and all the rest of it. And my mum and I joined at the same time. And at that point in time, the branch that I joined was so small that it met in a caravan, which kind of shows the kind of how fast and how far the party has changed. Because there's not many branches that would fit in a caravan now. But so I guess at the point in time, I joined it because I believed that Scotland should be independent, and I still believe that, and I believe that it's the best way for the country to be and is in charge of its own destiny and affairs, and to do what it can for itself. So I suppose that has remained a solid kind of thing throughout my time being elected. So I guess if I'm honest, I became an accidental politician. I joined the SNP. I moved to as you know, I went to Glasgow University. I was involved with the SNP student wing there. Joined the youth wing after that. Helped out. I campaigned, and then somebody had said maybe you should give it a wee shot, try and stand, and I did, but I didn't expect to get elected, and that was in 2007 when it was that kind of pivotal moment when the SNP got one more than Labour and had the mandate to go and form a government. But I genuinely had not thought that I would be elected. I didn't join the SNP with the intention of being elected, but my goodness, what a privilege it is to be elected and then to join the government. And so I suppose what I would say to young people is that I think you've got to believe in things, and I think you've got to be passionate about your community and passionate about wanting to make a positive change and to have and stick to your principles. And then the other thing I would say, and it was something that Rosanna Cunningham, she was 25 years ago that she, or was it longer? It was, she's been the longest elected politician, and she said that she got elected when she was 43. So she said, even if you feel that you're a wee bit older, that you can still be elected, and you don't have to just do it when you're young as well. So I guess my other bit of advice would be to kind of draw from what she said and said, even if it doesn't happen when you're young, it doesn't matter. Your life experience and different things that you can do in your life can contribute to the well-being of the country and can be things you can draw from. And if you want to enter or dip your toe into elected politics later on as well. So I think it's just believe stuff, work hard, campaign hard, and maybe give it a shot. It's an enormous privilege. A huge privilege to be able to do and achieve some of the things that you had set out as an aspiration when you join a political party.
It's a huge privilege, and obviously a huge amount of work as well. And we've seen in the past year or so balancing work and life within political life, and actually not the past couple of years, but we have seen that people have said that it can take its toll. And you're not going to stand in the next election, and I think for me that's I think you're a great politician. I think you're an authentic leader, and that's a shame in a lot of ways. Just reflecting on your kind of decision to do that, do you think the digital age, do you think the way that we, I guess, have worked and navigated through COVID-19, are there things that we could do to encourage more participation within politics and make it more equal, I guess, in terms of keeping, I guess, female leaders, especially within politics, and make it more accessible? Big question, I know.
Yeah, it is. I think so. I think for a start, I wanted to kind of reprioritize my life, I guess. I mean, I've had my son come in there and say hello, but it was a positive decision for me as well. I've been next year, the election, I've been elected for a fair amount of time, and because it has been a privilege, and I've enjoyed it. But it is tough, and there's no getting away from that. It's tough and it's demanding, but that's what I expected it to be, and that's why I wanted it to be. You have to. It's a job that you have to work hard at, and the demands are high. But the rewards of it are incredible if you can make the changes that you want to see happening. But I think there are kind of questions, legitimate questions about how you balance that with life and with family. And it's not just for women, it's for other parliamentarians that are there at the moment that are juggling life and work and it can be tough. And so I suppose this last wee while has shown that there is innovations that can be made digitally. You know, I answered my question this afternoon in the same seat, so I didn't have to travel all the way into the Parliament to come back. So there's maybe I'll maybe give the Parliament a chance to think that some of these changes aren't quite as big and they're not quite as scary as maybe they might have thought, and that folk have got used to it, and folk can be innovative and agile, and that can be reflected in your democracy as well. But I think there's also, you do miss stuff. There's things that you can't get away with, that you can't get away from, that you need to be interacting face to face with. You know, all the third sector social enterprises that I've visited, if I'd done that remotely, I would have lost a huge amount of that experience of going out and visiting folk face to face, having a cuppa with them and hearing about it firsthand. So there has to be that kind of, there's always going to have to be kind of that level of physical presence in the Parliament and doing the job if you want to do it effectively. But I'm excited about whatever comes next. I don't know what will come next, but I'm excited about it, and we'll just need to see what presents itself, because but yeah, I mean, it's like I say, it's a huge privilege. This portfolio that I've had, all the portfolios I've had have been incredible, and we've managed to do some positive things, I think, in amongst it all. And hopefully this point in time we can try, though, and ensure that more people can get involved in elected politics, not just at Parliament, at local authority level too. I think there's a lot of debate to be had about how do we kind of get more women involved in local politics, but not just women. How do we make our Parliament and our local chambers far more representative more generally? I think there's a huge amount of work to do in that as well. And I think over the last wee while, local government has really shown how effective it is at helping our communities cope, and they've had to really, really work hard over the last wee while to make sure that they can support their community. So it's not just Holyrood, it's at all levels. And there was, you know, we need to kind of think, you know, 21 now years on from the Parliament opening, what else can we do to empower our communities, and how else can we shift and change local democracy, so it's not just about having a view and an eye on Holyrood or your local chamber, but maybe what more can we do to empower people locally as well.
Aileen, it's been a pleasure speaking to you, and thank you for your time, especially when you have multiple webinars going on at the moment. So, and yeah, like I said, it's been a pleasure to speak to you just now. Great work, obviously, in terms of the work that you do. We need more authentic leadership at the moment, and thank you for that and delivering that within your role.
Well, thank you. Well, listen, thank you. I mean, I know the amount of work that you and everyone involved in the social enterprise world are doing, huge amounts of tasks and dealing with huge challenges and helping people cope. And so thank you for all that you're doing as well. And thank you for letting me be part of it and having the conversation with you, Kieran. It's been a while.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
A bladder like this.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Aileen. Thanks a lot. And hopefully it's not as long next time we speak.
Yeah. Take care. Stay well.